problem comes because all of these people over the years, they do the same job, they do not grow. And maybe our employments as well, again, the informal sectors of which they do not as well provide that opportunity to grow, like intellectual capacity and, other soft skills. So that becomes a problem for the fact that the companies do not put attention, that they are not so intentional in developing, the skills of the employees. And nevertheless, the type of demographics that we have and the job, mapping that many people are doing in formal sectors, which do not provide this, opportunity for personal development. Yeah.
For me, I resonate with much of those pillars based on the policies, labor policies, but also the interactions done between me and the employee. And I think the majority of them, or vast of them, fill up the space, which I can literally define a decent work for me as a youth who is just within the workforce.
So there's that gap. And when it comes to fair income, youth enter into a job as volunteers. And as a volunteer, you're either paid something that is equal amount or doesn't even suffice your transport costs to where you live, or you're not totally paid. So on fair income, that is not really achieved, to be honest. Like to say a huge number of youth who are in the jobs are earning a fair income.
So I would agree and second my previous speaker, what Gloria mentioned, that if we're trying to understand does this definition apply to majority of youth in our current context, then my answer would also be no. I think the definition in itself is brilliant, and it covers what our aspirations are for decent work. But if you look at the majority of youth in our country, I don't think we are there yet. To give some few examples, if we look at Tanzania, which the majority of employment is within agriculture, of 80% are in agriculture, then a lot of those pillars that I mentioned, the definition, unfortunately, do not hold through. Starting with the first one of, is it really productive? Are these young youth that are in agriculture able to earn enough through that activity that's able to sustain their livelihoods? Then I think in many cases, the answer is no. Second of all, if we look at the issue of protection, which I think is really important in decent work, a lot of youth, and I think even if we ask those of us in this call as a sample, do not have a comprehensive system of social protection.
Yes, aspects of productivity, social protection and all that are very essential, and I don't want to minimize their value in there, but I'd like to highlight an aspect of fulfillment, because if you're looking at a person holistically, you might have a job that gives you an income that allows you to make all these decisions, but is it fulfilling? Does it align with, for example, your core values? And does it promote or does it facilitate you to get into a place where, as a human, as before you are an employee, do you feel like you're being fulfilled and you're pleased with what you're doing and what your labor results to? I know this is it might be very secondary as compared to other factors like social protection and all that, but I think it's an aspect that's very critical, or has been critical in my experience. And yeah, I think if there's anything that I would add to that definition, it would be that
decent job to me, it's something that a person can earn legally, that's first, but also what's the use of earning something legally if you're not passionate about it? So to me, decent work is not just something legally, but you should also be passionate of what you're doing each and every day.
Decent job is basically doing something that you love, but also it's something that should be able to give you security, your basic needs that you can be able to attain from a daily basis. But if I can go back to what Gloria, I think it was Gloria and Colin, say that the current situation in Tanzania is that very few youths are able to actually get the decent jobs. And that's maybe due to lack of knowing exactly how to get the channels of getting the jobs, or having the connections of getting them the right jobs for them. So yeah, that would be basically my view.
there is a huge discrepancy, or there's a huge gap between the formal and informal sector, especially in terms of the pillar of work decency. Let's say, for instance, in aspects like fair income placements, or aspects like social protection. Much of the formal sector, which is like 39% of the labor force here in Tanzania, do not have an adjustable or a minimum statutory wage for them to maintain themselves, and especially most of these informal workers are just people who establish their own business, or people who are just working part-time in some businesses, compared to formal workers who have like a minimum statutory wage, have labor policies, labor laws protection, and also